Everyone, Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. Welcome again, everyone, to our Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues that are out there that are facing people today because it is our goal to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And remember, we always will be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, except for Wednesdays, which is that's Conversations for Humanity. We actually do a 15-minute meet and greet for that, and then the call starts at 3 o'clock. And today, I will be your host with also my other great partner and friend, Carla Finnegan, when she joins the live stream. And this is going to be Share and Care with Sandy today. Sandy is actually off today. She spent some time with her family and everything. So happy birthday to you and your family, Sandy, because we hope you guys have a great and an engaging and fun filled lunch birthday date today. Um, and remember, as always, uh, our live stream can hold up to about right now 10 people at a time. So if you guys want to join the live stream, please let me know, and I'll put the live link not only on LinkedIn Live, but also on our YouTube channels and everything like that. So we'll be getting kicked off here very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. So if you guys want to join us, please feel free to join us here and follow us on our social media platforms as well. We have our LinkedIn business page, our Twitter page, which is Betterment for All. We also have our Facebook group page, uh, and we have two YouTube channels, but this is our main one where all the live streams go. And you can actually watch a lot of the live streams that we have done in the past on that channel. And this is one of our favorite quotes that is really so uplifting and truly powerful, which is doing the right thing is the right thing to do, and you can't go wrong with right. And I truly believe in that. I mean, to our very core of who we are. Um, Today, what we'll be talking about is about forgiveness and how does forgiveness work out not only in our workplace but everything else outside of that too as well. And here's my other great partner, Lisa McQuillan. Hello, Lisa.
Hi. Hi, how is everyone?
Well, I am doing great. Just got off work a little late compared to what I usually do, but you know how that goes. Life happens.
That's right.
So we're just getting kicked off right now, and I'm just putting up the join us live link so people can join us live and everything. So Lisa is our HR slash human development, human investment uh, person that really does a lot of great things uh, in our realm of human development. And if you want to reach out to her, please don't hesitate to reach out to Lisa McQuillan because she'll take any and all questions from you about joining not only the organization, but how we can help your organization too as well. So let's get things kicked off, Lisa. And of course, today's topic is about, or actually this week's, is about forgiveness. How do you see forgiveness in a workplace environment? How does that look like and mean to you?
Well, to me, forgiveness is one of those basic human things that we all need to be able to do because none of us are perfect. And so in the workplace, obviously, we should all be doing our best, right, to lead with our best foot forward. However, we're all human, we make mistakes. And so I think we have to be able to forgive those around us
Right.
when things aren't perfect or when things aren't exactly the way that we think they should be. So
So
that's my take on it.
when it comes to the realm of human development, which you're in, how well can we be better at the human development dynamic when it comes to forgiveness? How would that look like to you from that kind of dynamic?
Well, again, I think just being able to forgive others and being able to have the skill of being able to let go of things that come across come across us, that come into play around us, especially at work, but also not, outside of work as well. So we have to be able to work through things together and let things go so that we're not holding on to them for the fact of we have to be able to build each other up and work through things together, so that we can aim towards working together.
Exactly, exactly. Hello, Carla. How you doing?
Carla.
Hey, doing good. Just got home.
Well, you got some great news for me over just a few short hours ago about something about John C. Maxwell, did you not?
Oh yeah. That was last night. Yeah, he's coming to our church for his Live to Lead series again in October, I think it
Yeah,
is.
that's what you said. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in fact, I was just asking a friend of mine at church if she knew whether he was coming or not, and she says, "Oh, I don't know, I hadn't heard." And then the email popped up last night, and I said, "I'm in. I'm in. I went all day. Yeah,
All day, the whole day.
all day."
Oh,
And then
nice.
I contacted another friend of mine who we're on the medical team together, and so a lot of Sundays we'll serve together. And I said, "Hey, David, you want to do Live to Lead with me again this year, all day? Get your name over to Daniel." So
Cool, cool.
he says the A team is in the house.
That is
So we're
awesome.
excited.
That is great. That is great. So, on that note, and I know John C. Maxwell is really good about this topic, and of course we're going this week. We're going to be talking about forgiveness. How does forgiveness look like to you, especially in the realm of what you do, not only in the health and wellness, but what you've done in nursing for over 40 years? How can we lead by forgiving?
Um, Gosh, this goes so many different directions in my head. I never really thought about forgiveness in terms of nursing, other than accepting people for who they are and where they are in their health journey, and realizing that you cannot help everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not up to me to go, how in the hell did you get in this situation? Even though, you might think it, but it's not up to me. In fact, I was just had a friend of mine who was telling me that, literally having this conversation in the car coming home on the phone was, a family member was having some health struggles that they had just found out about. And they're like, well, we're processing it. We don't want to talk right now. And she was like, so consumed, I can't believe she doesn't want to talk to me. And I was like, you just need to forgive them for where they are right now, and give them space and love them unconditionally. So um, if somebody came into ICU and they had a heart attack or they had a stroke, the last thing you're going to say to them, well, if you hadn't have smoked and if you'd watched your weight, maybe you wouldn't even be here. You would never say something like that.
Exactly.
So you just have to accept it, for what it is. In the workplace, a lot of people get so worked up about it, or like so negative in terms of so and so's always calling in sick, and that means we got to pick up the work for them, and just really negative about it. Well, you know what? We don't know what's going on at home. You know,
Right.
And, yes, sometimes you have to address it if it becomes an issue, but there's some forgiveness in that, and saying, hey, it's okay. I know you've got a lot on your plate right now. Go and don't even worry about that, you know?
Mhm.
And that comes with working together and not saying, well, why should I do her work? I've got my own work to do. It's like you all collectively make it work. And then another point of forgiveness is that I never really understood was when I got divorced back in 97. And I actually was a facilitator with a couple other people who were also divorced in a divorce care group in our church. And that's when I truly learned about forgiveness, because everyone thinks forgiveness is like if somebody does you wrong, you just say, oh, that's okay that you did XYZ, and it's not that at all. It's just kind of letting it go and not letting it consume your life, because
Right.
it doesn't do you any good. What they've done, they've done, you know for example, adultery. What's done is done. I can forgive that, in that it's not that I forgive you. I forgive that in terms of I'm not going to let it consume my life anymore. I'm
Right.
going to move forward with this and focus on me, and not let that whole thing consume the rest of my life and make me feel like I'm a bad person, that I'm responsible for you doing what you did or whatever. It's not consuming my life. And when
Mhm.
I got divorced, I learned things that I never dreamt that I would ever learn, and probably would not have learned if I was still in that marriage. So I look at it in some respects is a gift that I've been able to do the things that I've done.
Exactly. And in the workplace, I think, as a leader, if you can show forgiveness in the workplace, it only helps the employees, the team around you. It's sort of like Carla was saying, it's not so much about the person, the other people. It's about you saying, I'm not going to let this consume me. And there's situations that come up in the workplace that you could say, okay, I'm going to take this home with me, or you could say, you know what, I'm going to forgive this and we're just going to move on. It doesn't mean forgetting either. It doesn't mean we're just going to let this go and you're going to walk all over me. It means you're going to let it go. Like Carla was saying, you're not going to let it consume you, but you're learning from it too.
Mhm.
In a,
Or
in a,
if, or if you have somebody that's kind of sabotaging you because you're making them look bad, not intentionally, but
Mhm.
because you have different work ethics, and that you're consistent and always wanting to grow and not necessarily move up in a negative way the organization, but you always want to help out and be part of a team and learn new skills and all those kind of things. Well, there's some people that were so happy with the status quo that they start to sabotage what you do because they don't want you looking good, because it makes them look bad. And the most frustrating thing for them is that you're not going to play their game.
Exactly.
And and part of that is just like, okay, I'm just going to let go of this. I'm not going to participate in this game right now. It's not going to affect my day. I'm going to help out other people and whatever, whether you want me to or not.
Exactly. Yes. Sometimes you
Right.
just have to forgive the things that are happening around you so that you
Mhm.
can move beyond it.
And on top of
Otherwise,
that, something's going on that you feel like you have to play this game when it's so unnecessary.
exactly. Exactly. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I am going to play a minute with Maxwell uh, video from YouTube that I really think it's going to really hit home. It's about 2 minutes, but of course, you know how John C. Maxwell is. He is just so on point, and this is leads right into live the lead for next month. Um, and John Maxwell, sir, if you like to be on our live stream, we would love to have you. But this is what John C. Maxwell has said about forgiveness, and here's what he says.
Today's word on Minute with Maxwell is forgiveness. It is a life-changing word, and here's how I know that. We do, through Equip and the John Maxwell Leadership Foundation, two of my nonprofit companies, we do roundtables in which we teach values. And one of the values in our roundtables is forgiveness. And when we ask people who have gone through 16 weeks of learning, studying, discussing, sharing, talking about values, when we ask them, which value was the most life-changing to you? Probably 90% of them say that the week that we talked about forgiveness. There's something about being forgiven. There's something about offering forgiveness that brings transformation in the life of a person. Because if I need to be forgiven and you come and you forgive me, it not only creates an instant bond with you, but it gives me just a new page, a fresh, clean page to write on, to work on. If I forgive you, that's what's beautiful about forgiving someone else is you not only free them up, but you free yourself up. I free myself up when I forgive you, and no longer do I have to carry any emotional baggage because I've freed you up. I've let you go. So forgiveness is a transformational, life-changing word. And I can promise you right now, every one of you watching Minute with Maxwell today, someone is in our life that we need to either forgive or we need to be forgiven by a person. So whichever side you are on, the forgiveness side or I need to be forgiven side, doesn't matter. I hope you experience it. I hope you practice it. I hope you take action on it. Because once you feel forgiven, once you have given forgiveness, it frees you up to live the life that you are intended to live. Thanks for being with me today on Minute with Maxwell.
Now, isn't that powerful?
That is so true.
It is true. It is true. And I think in the workplace, it's, not that you go up to someone and say, I forgive you. It's about letting them know you understand where they're coming from. And so in Carla's example, people are sick, not coming in, and other people are taking up the slack. I don't think you're going to go to that person or people and say, I forgive you for not coming in. It's more of a saying, hey, I understand, you got things you need to take care of. Your health is the most important thing. We got this. That's a confirmation to them that you understand, at least you're trying to understand what's going on and that you've got their back. Because when you work on a team, your team members, your teammates, you have to know you got their teammates back, right? Everyone wants that and needs that, and we all do. So I think that's really what it looks like if you were to put it into perspective in the workplace, is that, hey, you understand where they're coming from. If you've had a conversation with someone and it's gone the wrong way, just circling back to them and saying, hey, I'm sorry, or, this is why it went this way. And, let's figure out how to work through this, I think is, to me, enough to let them know and show that you are concerned about that collaborative effort in wanting to work together with your teammate.
Well, I like what he said in there, and I kind of thought it would tie in, but I just didn't know how it would work. But now I get it even more so. Transformation can come from forgiveness as well. Literally, you can transform not only yourself, but transform
others.
someone else in that very moment or moments that you're forgiving or being forgiven. And that is truly, again, that's truly powerful. That really is. And I never thought of that when I talk about transformation. But again, I will go back to what I've said in previous live streams past. If
Mhm.
we're willing to let go of what we fear to lose, we have nothing to fear and we have nothing to lose. And when you put that into the context of forgiveness, that goes right, shoots right straight like a straight arrow into transformation. And I believe that that's it's giving me chills right now. It is.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yes, it's huge. It really is,
it
and I
is.
think it does a lot for any relationship where there needs to be forgiveness. Doesn't matter if it's at work, at home, wherever you're at. I think it's a huge aspect of, and like John C. Maxwell said, it's a bonding moment, right? When you have
Oh
let
yeah.
someone know, hey, either I forgive you or I totally understand where you're coming from, and we're going to work through this. And so it is a huge piece of a puzzle in regards to relationships and building. So I agree, forgiveness is huge.
What's your thoughts, Carla?
I got a lot of things going through my head. I go back to the first real understanding that I had of forgiveness was when I got divorced, and that there are so many women that are in relationships that didn't end up well and whatever, and they feel like they might be the cause of it, or they're still holding on to a lot of bitterness and anger, and they don't realize how much that affects their entire life. Like he talked about, is giving somebody forgiveness, and especially allowing yourself to move on is the biggest gift that you can give yourself, to be able to function in society more, to work more, to be a happier person, to just improve your life in general. A lot of people don't do that. There's guys too, you know, that, oh, my wife left me for somebody else, and oh, I'm an ugly, horrible person, and um, that really pisses me off, and I can't trust women anymore, and all this other bitterness. And it's like there's just such a bigger world out there to be enjoyed if you would only understand that forgiving is not saying, "Oh, it's okay, you screwed me." It's saying, "I am not going to let what happened in the past consume the rest of my life."
Exactly. Exactly, because it affects your behavior, which affects other people around you.
It can
It's
affect your children. It can affect
exactly.
everybody.
I was
So
reading an article. We talked about this forgiveness, and there was a research study done. This was back in 2012, the article that I found. And so they have some suggestions on how to foster forgiveness at work. And so it says model forgiveness at work, particularly if you're a leader. Leaders' behavior often has the greatest impact on the organizational culture. So it's basically a trickle down effect. Apologize and attempt to make restitutions. So mainly just taking responsibility for your mistakes. Otherwise, distrust will grow and the fear of something happening again can be worse than the original incident. Rebuild trust by working on a common task. Create new experiences and memories of cooperation. Conduct interventions, sometimes best done by third parties, to address conflict and foster forgiveness. So if you're unable to work through it together, they're saying get someone who can, a third party who can intervene or help do an intervention to build that
like a
relationship.
moderator, facilitator, or something like that, right?
Right.
Exactly, a facilitator or something like that, basically to
A
address the
mediator.
conflict, a mediator, right? And so, as Carla was saying, resentment is basically going to continue to grow within a person if that is not resolved through forgiveness. And so they continue to talk about, forgiveness is not mean we're going to ignore bad behavior. Policies and procedures in the workplace should address certain behaviors. However, everyone, especially leaders, but not just leaders, should foster forgiveness so that workplaces do not become toxic, because they can, having the lack of being able to forgive and move beyond the issues can really create a lot of toxic culture. So
And it can get toxic really quick.
really quick, and it's hard to undo once it becomes toxic.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it can literally, quickly become toxic, but it's not going to be a quick turnaround to get it away from being toxic. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely something that we should all be able to do.
Well, ladies, I would like to ask you this because it just hit my brain this way as I was listening to both of you. Why do we let anger, fear, sometimes it may be even aggression, take us down that dark path that we don't allow ourselves to not only to be forgiven, but able to forgive? Why do we as human beings make that sometimes so hard, especially in the workplace dynamic?
That's a tough question. I think a lot of it it comes from misunderstandings, not understanding a certain situation or certain things. Obviously fear is one of those things where your body just takes over sometimes. But I think a lot of it is just a misunderstanding or lack of understanding of certain situations or things that causes a big part of it. Obviously, it's not all of it. I think people can get into places where they just can't turn things around, but that's where having a good network of people you trust is helpful, because I
Like
think
there's a
they can help
situation
turn it
that
around.
they can't let it go.
Right?
Is it like a situation with it that in anger that they have that they just can't let it go?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
And for me, the reason why I bring that up is for many years, and I mean many years, especially when I was younger. I mean, like I was like in my 20s, like early. I held on to so much resentment and anger and fear, and I just didn't care. And sometimes I believe once, like you said before, Lisa, if you let that permeate and kind of fester, and it's going to go throughout the rest of the organization, and then your very partners that are supposed to be there working with you, I think many things can end up happening. They will probably turn your back on them, or you won't get to help as much, or and sometimes there are some people that I've seen, which I did to myself this way, is you do it so much that people can only take so much, and then they can say, "Hey, I'm tuning out. I'm done," and that becomes, I feel, a very lost opportunity to not only learn, but to understand and able to move forward.
Well, I think some people get so much anger built up and they feel like that they are so right in what they are doing, and that they want the more people they can get to jump on that wagon with them, the
Mm,
more it intensifies their sense of being right. When
Mhm.
what they really need to do is being right or wrong isn't going to change anything. What is done is done. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you figure out. It's like when you get divorced, you really learn who your friends are.
Yeah.
You either have friends that support you because they know what happened was not the right thing to happen, or you have people that side with one person or the other just because of who they are. Like, oh, well, I knew him first, so I'm going to side with him. And then you've got that group of people in the middle that are just like, I don't want to deal with this, you know. But getting people on your side doesn't fix anything. And you're still holding on to that anger and resentment and negativity and negative energy that doesn't serve anybody, and it certainly is not serving you because it starts to affect your health.
Right. And it can affect people around you in a negative way. So the more that we all practice forgiveness, the more positive impact that it can have on people or people around us in the workplace even. And so it's important that we all try to develop that skill. And I think that sometimes when you're, like Chris, what you were saying, I think sometimes when you're so deep in a situation, sometimes you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
Yeah.
And it may take something or someone to help you see that there's more to this, or there's better ways to handle this or that. And so I think there's some personalities that just have a harder time. But the more you have a network of people that can help you, that are more positive, things like that can all help. But I think the more that we all practice forgiveness, I think, you have to make an effort to say, you know what, I'm not going to let this, like Carla was saying, I'm not going to let this consume me, because it easily could consume you. And the things, the things that you want to do in life, and because you feel overwhelmed or whatever with the situation. And so sometimes you just have to say, you know what, I'm not going to let this consume me. I'm not going to let this bring me down. I'm going to forgive and move on. And in theory, it sounds easy, but it's not always that easy when you're, in the middle of situations. But it may take time and work.
Well, then let me ask you this then, ladies. When it comes to that, do we do it from, and this is what Brian Sumner has taught me so well in, and I've learned so much from, it's the model of the world that we work under. Does our model of the world literally, to a certain extent, affect the way we forgive people as well?
What do you mean by the model, or your model of the world?
Well, it's the way that we actually work under the set of principles and values and things that what works good for us. So what works good for Chris will work good for Chris in my model of the world, and the way I view it and see it.
So I guess the way I see it is some people are more positive than other people. And
Correct.
I mean, that's just part of who they are. And the positive person, some people might feel, you just don't see the real issues. You look at things with the, rose-colored glasses because you're positive, or you try to see the good in people, where others are just more prone to, for whatever reason, and it might be the model of the world or the experiences that they've had. I think people that have gone through trying times tend to be more positive because they've been through it, and they can see that there is life on the other side, and a better life on the other side. People that maybe haven't seen too many troubling or been through issues, so to speak, traumas or whatever you want to call it, they may be less positive because, their model, if you will, their model of the world is, it's, this or that, and they don't see beyond that sometimes. And so I think some people are a little more prone to either one way or the other based on their experiences in life, maybe. And so I think those are the people that have been through those experiences, I think, have a little more experience and can see that there is better things. But sometimes when you're in the middle of those things, you may not see it until you've worked through it yourself.
Right.
And so I think that's, Go ahead.
ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that, for those of us that do have the positive outlook or have the ability to forgive, I think if people, it's like how you model how you handle things in front of your children or children that you have an impact on. If they see you respond a certain way, they put that in their little toolbox for when they need it, because they may not need it and they may not even think about it. But when they go through a situation where they have to think through things, they're going to remember how you handled things. And they're going to see that positive way in how you handled certain situations. And they can use that to help them through things. And so, but not everybody has that. Some people grow up without parents. They're in foster homes, or they're in, they don't have those positive experiences. And so, I'm kind of going off track here a little bit, but I think it's our responsibility in humanity and in the community to try to foster, in a sense, those positive experiences for people, for children and things like that, so they have tools in their toolbox for later.
Well, I think a lot of people think that if somebody's very positive, they just haven't experienced the life experiences that I've experienced, because as almost a way to justify how they're looking at life. Well, I choose to be positive every day. I could really be down and negative right now, but I choose not to.
Right.
And nobody knows what I've been through in my life, because I don't air dirty laundry to people.
Right.
So to be able to say, oh, well, Carly, you're always so positive. You just have never gone through all the things that I've been through. Not that you're saying that, but part of me thinks to that person, you don't even know half the shit I've been through.
Exactly.
And I choose to be positive.
It's a choice. It really is a choice.
And forgiveness is a choice too.
It is. I've had people tell me, oh, you look at things as, you're naive because you see it this way. Well, no, I'm not naive. I choose to be positive. I choose to look for the good in things because I understand what's going on, and I want to believe that this will turn out better. So again, understanding people and trying to, that's all I think part of forgiveness, because you have to let things go or they will consume you. And it can cause a very toxic relationship or environment, if you will. I mean, it's no different with your children, right? They come home and they get a bad report from the teacher that day. Are you going to hold that against them for 20 years, or are you going to deal with it, talk to them about it, and deal with it and move beyond it? It's a choice. Forgiveness is a choice. And we can all choose to forgive. Like I said, forgiving does not mean forgetting.
Yeah.
Forgiving does not mean, oh, well, we're just going to let that behavior go, right? Your kid comes home with a bad report from the teacher, and you're going to address the situation. You're going to handle the behavior, and you're going to move beyond it. You're going to forgive them for being a kid, right? For the bad behavior, because we all make mistakes. Sometimes that's how we learn the most.
Yep.
So if we hold that, if we're going to use the kid example, if we're going to hold that against them, I mean, you've seen it. Some parents will constantly bring up that situation over and over again. Any chance they get, it's like, get over it. It's done and over. It's done and over. You don't need to keep bringing it up in front of everyone. You know what I mean? I'm sure you've seen it. And so to me, that would be an example of not forgiving them for that behavior. If you keep bringing it up, it's just constantly, what are they learning from you bringing it up all the time? What are they learning? You've addressed the situation, and unless they continue to have the bad behavior, And if they continue to have the bad behavior, then you got to do something different. But at any rate, you got to forgive the behavior, forgive the situation and move on.
Yeah,
So
I was just together with some friends of mine, girlfriend of mine that I've known. I think we met, I think, and we were trying to think of when it was, probably spring of 96 or 97 is when I was going through my divorce. And uh, she had been divorced. And so we used to kind of walk and vent with each other and whatnot. And we had gotten together with my kids that are older, in their 30s now, and we had all gotten together and we went to a restaurant. We were having drinks and shooting the bull and all that kind of stuff. And my girlfriend said, your mother is the most forgiving person I've ever met on the face of this earth. That how she could go through what she went through and raise two kids. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back at all. You just do what you got to do. But I said, if he died tomorrow, I'd still care about him because I had two children with him,
Mm-hmm.
and just that forgiveness. And no, I'll never forget, because it's part of my value system that is not acceptable to me.
Right.
In fact, my husband, Chris knows my husband, and when we were getting married in 2005 and meeting with our priest at the time, he says, are there deal breakers? And I said, yeah, infidelity is a big deal breaker for me. And he goes, yeah, I know. If I ever did that, I know my shit would be on the curb.
Good for him.
Talk about it
He
now,
knows.
but I know he knows how I feel about it. There's no anger involved. It's not acceptable to me,
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's perfectly normal. And, you can't forget because, then you really have let it go.
Yeah. Well, when my ex-husband is in town, we all go out to dinner together,
Well, that's
And-
good. That's
and
nice.
he still calls and has conversations with my dad,
Right.
So, we've had two kids together. Well, and all these people that are like, oh my gosh, I've got to go to a baby shower and my ex-husband's going to be there. I said, get over it. Come on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Be the grown up in the room.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And those are hard situations, right? Some people hold on to that anger and not forgive for what happened, and what does it do? It creates problems for you. It creates problems for them. It creates problems for people around you
Yeah.
that are close to you, right?
Yeah.
That have to live, that want to live and be around a part of your life. It changes who you are. It really does.
Well, I
It
couldn't
changes.
imagine going into a social situation where, like my girlfriend, her ex-husband was going to be there with his wife, and she was just like, still hadn't let go, and I can't tell you how many years it's been, and it's just like, you don't project your anger of the situation onto the whole group of people at the shower. You don't bring that negativity in there, just
But
like
if you
you don't take your negativity against your coworker or something to the office Christmas party. You don't be that person. And most importantly, you've got to just let go of it
Right. Right.
and move on with your life.
And I think, if you don't, you do become that person
Mm-hmm.
that takes it with you to the places you shouldn't be taking. I mean, you take it home with you if it's something that's happening at
Yeah,
work.
for sure.
It affects your relationships at home too. So it's important to forgive and obviously not forget, and learn how to work through it and forgive and move beyond it.
Well, the stress of it can start impacting your health.
Exactly. And it
So-
will eventually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So let me ask you this then, ladies. Is forgiveness about yourself or forgiveness about the other person?
Ooh,
Or
good
can it work for both?
Good question.
It is a good question. I'll jump in here if you don't mind, Carla. I used to think forgiveness was not about you. It was not about the other person. It was more about you just being able to let go. But I think it impacts not just you, but the other person. And it really does affect other people around you that may not even be involved in it. So when I think about these things where you see in the news, I don't know anyone that this is truly affected, but someone accidentally makes a mistake on the road and they kill another person, right? They didn't mean to do it. They have a hard time forgiving themselves, which I can't even fathom how you would feel or what.
Yeah.
But so many times the families of the person that got killed can't let it go either.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I hear of these stories, and I'm going to steal this from you, Chris, this actually gives me chills when I read about the families who lost someone in a situation like this, where they make an effort to let the individual who caused it, obviously not on purpose, but it was, a mistake they made that caused it, whatever, where the family will go out of their way to make sure that the person that caused it knows that have forgiven them. Because I think that is when that person who obviously blames themselves because they know they made a mistake and it caused something like this, I think it would be hard to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when the families come forward and make an effort to say, you know what, I forgive you, I think it truly impacts them to the point where they can actually start to heal.
Mm-hmm. They can start forgiving themselves too.
They can start, yes, learning to forgive themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it's a very powerful thing that if we can practice and do for not just yourself, but for others. And in that example, the power of forgiveness affects the family, the person who, caused it, but it's affecting even me who read it, to think if something that tragic can happen and they can give that person forgiveness, why can't I forgive my coworker because they didn't come into work and I had to do their work?
Mm-hmm.
So as an example, I think it's in most of us that would make us take a step back and think, yeah, I mean, this isn't that serious. I think we've all had some things in our lives where we think, oh, this is the worst ever. And then something you see or someone is going through something even worse. And it makes you step back and think, this is stupid. I'm overreacting. Things could be so much worse. I'm not going to let myself do this. So I think it's a constant choice that you have to make, because one day I might wake up and not be in the best of moods, and I have to make an honest choice to have a great day or to get up and do things differently. So forgiveness is one of those things where you have to, it's a choice that you have to make.
So, Carla, what's your thoughts? Is forgiveness about yourself or for others, or is it both?
I think it's both. I used to think I was about me and being able to move on, but then when you think about the impact that it makes to the other person too, it gives them maybe there's a little bit of guilt on their part that they want to feel better about, and or at least be able to function in situations together, like if in the situation of a divorce, for the betterment of your children.
Well, the way I view it now, and for many years, I thought forgiveness is about for myself. For many, 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 many years, I thought forgiveness was just about for me, 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 that's it. But now as I gotten a little older and maybe a little wiser and a little bit more in touch of where I am. I know when you literally are forgiving others by design and by definition, you're forgiving yourself in the same context. It's they're interconnected, they're intertwined. You can't have one. Well, you could if like to your example, Lisa, about that person getting killed by an accident by someone fault for somebody else. Some people do not let that go, and that's tough. But to rise above that and say, I'm willing to let that go of that anger, of that resentment, of that fear that that loved one may never come back again,
Mm.
or they lost a limb, or whatever that might be for them.
Right.
The more, the more I think about that, it really puts a perspective on me in such a way that I know that forgiveness is not about me at all. Forgiveness is literally about forgiving that other person. And within, like I said, within that framework of that act, which, like you said, Carla, before, it's a gift. That that little gift of forgiveness goes a long way. It goes everywhere,
Mm.
and it goes to people you don't even know. And I think that forgiveness can be that torch of lighting the way to peace, tranquility, and to the road of moving on. And if we can do that, I just believe that we can do so much more with that.
Hmm. I agree. I agree 100%.
Because there's just so much that we can do. Again, it's you're absolutely right, ladies. It's a choice. We could choose the way we not only have our attitude, like Sandy has said many times, but we can choose the path that gives us not only the hope and peace in our lives, but we can literally share that with others. And maybe through the act and gift of forgiveness, we'll probably be in a much better place because of it.
We'll be in a much better place, and so will everyone around us.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And like I said, I think everything that we've discussed on these live streams are interconnected to each other.
Mhm.
And I've seen that ever since we've done these live streams. The more that I think about it, is how truly interconnected we really are to one another.
Mhm.
And that interconnectedness can literally spark, and if you allow it, to create that change that you want to have not only in your life, but in the lives of others. Or you can, I'm going to bring Star Wars yet into this because, like I said, I love Star Wars so much. If we let anger, fear, aggression, because that will take us down that dark path. And once you go down that dark path, forever will dominate your destiny. And I believe that is absolutely true. Because if we go down that dark path and we will go to that point of no return, and if we go past that point, I won't say all hope is lost. May the force of forgiveness be with you. Yes, that is good. May the force of forgiveness be with you. That is so well said, Lisa. That is.
I couldn't help myself. You said Star Wars.
Well, I've learned so much from Star Wars, and a lot of the principles that's in that ethos is absolutely true.
I love Star Wars too, so I just
I know,
had to.
literally, it's changed my life. In fact, I will end our call this way.
Yes, Chris, I'll make you a quote tile
Okay. Okay.
with a Star
When
Wars
my,
theme.
yeah.
There you go.
Um, when my mother committed suicide back when I was 10 or 11, the one saving grace that saved me from really going down that dark path is I went to go see The Empire Strikes Back.
You went to do what?
The Empire Strikes Back. That was the second of the original trilogy.
Oh,
And like I said, when I was at my darkest time, I went to go see that again, and it just flipped a switch in me. It did, because I've forgiven her for what she did. I forgave her for taking her life,
Hmm.
and because she was in a good place, and I know that. But I forgive her for what she did because maybe she didn't have no other choice. But like you said, ladies, we do have that choice. We have that choice, and like I said, when that happened to me at a very early age, like I said, it just slowly flipped the switch in my brain and said, I have to let this go,
Hmm.
or it will consume me. So, my call to action to everybody today is if you're not willing to forgive somebody for yourself, do it for them. Don't if you're going to be that negative about whatever has transpired or trespassed on you or whatever, forgive them. Don't don't forget yourself and say it's all about you when it, like I said, I truly believe the act of forgiving forgives yourself. But if you're that resentful of whatever happened, at least do it for them. Because if you let them know that they have been forgiven and you may have to hold on to whatever you have to hold on to, then you have to work that through yourself. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, forgive others first. Because within that act of giving that forgiveness and that gift of forgiveness, it will heal yourself. But that would be my call to action.
Exactly. My call to action is very similar. I just want to say, let's all make the choice to forgive when needed.
Yeah. That choice is powerful. That is. Carla?
you do have to make a choice to forgive somebody, and don't let life pass you by without giving forgiveness to people.
And it will pass you by.
Exactly.
It will. Because once we again go past that point of no return, sometimes we can't get those moments back.
Right.
Because once
Exactly.
those moments are gone, what you can't go back to the past to change it. You can't.
Hmm.
And I will just leave with this quote: "Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do because you can't go wrong with right." And that's part of forgiveness too.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
ladies, it's been such an honor and a heartfelt thank you for being on this call with me today, because forgiveness is a gift, and we can share that gift with others. So I'm so thankful
Exactly.
and honored that you're on this journey with me and I'm on this journey with you. And we're aimed to not only bring humanity together, but we're going to be aiming to bring humanity in the business and beyond. And I'm just so privileged and honored by that. So,
Happy to
ladies,
be here.
yeah, I'm just so thankful and honored. So, um, so I guess we'll be closing out today's call. So if you'd like to reach out to me, Lisa, or Carla, or anyone else on our great team here bringing humanity together, please reach out to us. We would love to hear your thoughts on today's call. And please reach out to us. And if you have any questions or concerns or topics, please let us know. We would like to hear from you. So, Lisa and Carla, thank you again for being on the call today. And we'll see you tomorrow for Conversations for Humanity.
Thank you. See
Right,
you
looking
guys.
forward to it.
Have
All
a
right,
good
see you
night.
later. Bye
Bye,
bye.
Lisa.
Bye bye.